Good morning and welcome. This morning's Dharma talk is titled Dustbin of Otherness, and what I am endeavoring to address in that area is everything else is maybe usable, maybe you can do things with it, but it is basically other. It's over there. And so the idea there is to acknowledge that. The idea is to see that the polarity takes us away from the initial situation of awareness. Just awareness. Awareness is so powerful. And I wish to encourage you to see what this is yourself. Most of the world is just completely distracted by what the dustbin. It's not that there aren't valuable things that seem to be other, but it's very important to see that we polarize, we pull away into some kind of otherness that is right or wrong or should be or shouldn't be, and so on. Sitting practice of meditation will help you over time see that you may be missing something about the nature of this experience we call being alive, being in a room, walking down the street, driving a car, hugging our partner, our mate. So, and of course, I'm very biased. I'm encouraging you to spend a lot of time by yourself. Isolate yourself from everything else, just an hour a day anyway, if not more, and just watch what flows in the mind stream without grasping, rejecting, or turning away, so that you can see, not just get your information from me or from a Dharma book or something like that. So you can actually see yourself. You can see vividly, without any doubts, what this is. It's possible. It's very possible. And if you spend enough time training your mind, it is inevitable to see this. Pardon. The powerful illusion that something is over there or back there in time or ahead in the future or some other situation, other. It's a powerful, powerful illusion. This so-called present moment, right now, looking at this hand move from here to there, is an illusion. But it looks incredibly real. It looks incredibly present. It is not. But then the one that is about your explanation of your history of what happened, what's going to happen, what should have happened, what could have happened. This is very powerful also. So I could chatter away for a while longer. If you have questions now, I can take them now, or I continue to talk. Apologize for my low energy. It's been rough. I just came off a medication that has the side effects of it are overwhelming. Trying to address issues, didn't help the issues that I was having, but created a lot of other issues. Not comfortable. I don't recommend it. And it's a good thing because I can't remember what it's called. Yes,
Shadow bowing, when we're seeing other in the form of blame, can we turn that back around and see our part in that bowing?
say more.
Shadow bowing, I'm just wondering about how to take responsibility, or if we can flash on our responsibility in the projection.
You're responsible for everything. Anytime you go like that, you're perpetuating the illusion, you're perpetuating the suffering of yourself and of others. Don't blame anybody. Is that what you're asking about? Don't blame. Not a good idea. Even though it looks that way, it looks very convincing, like someone is causing how you're feeling, or you're just not true. Yes, sir. Hang on.
I am bowing. The other day, I think maybe it was in one of the as it is practices or talks, you were discussing the way certain practice modalities like EMDR are used to excavate the so-called past,
Yes,
and that consciousness actually protects us
Yes.
from the illusion
I
of the
did say
past.
that.
Could you say more about how consciousness protects us from the past, bowing?
I certainly can, and thank you for the question. So there's so much suffering and powerful aggression and violence in our past, in all of our pasts. And it's so outrageously powerful that the consciousness won't let that back in. Once it's there, it won't try to receive that all at once. And sometimes that protection, or that you could call it ignoring, it is a kind of ignoring, or that shutting down or pushing away. Sometimes that makes sense relatively in that moment, it makes sense for that to happen, and that's a natural thing that happens. Sitting practice of meditation, as I've experienced it over 50 plus years, slowly lets that come to the fore. Sometimes it takes years for one to actually be aware of the incredibly powerful violence and violence is a pretty good word, and abuse, you use that sometimes misused word, to just slowly come forth so you can do that gradually. Whereas something like EMDR, I'm sure that has its uses and it's a powerful technique. But to have EMDR go in and just go right in and just grab something and pull it out into one's consciousness could be extremely challenging, difficult for someone to, and could be result in being re-tortured, so to speak, by it when the person isn't ready for it. But the person who was controlling that, the so-called facilitator of that process, might be just trying to get results. Their motivation is just trying to get you to look at your past, no matter how horrible it is. And the success part of it seems to be, did you look at it? Were you able to see it, or regardless of how you feel about it? So I'm not sure if I get close to what you're asking about.
Yes, Kayan bowing. I've heard you teach, don't abandon the obscuration for what you think it's hiding. So is the impulse to go back into the past and pull something out, is that the ego trying to fix a problem? Ally?
Well, you probably said it as well as I could. I think to some extent, just be very slow about it. Sit down. As you heard me say thousands of times, hold still and watch what moves. And then that, because dependent origination is very powerful and very accurate, then what you need to see at any given time will wend its way forward into your consciousness out of the incredible matrix of otherness showing up as dependent origination across each Samapada. So that will show up because you're actually looking at it. You're kind of saying, I'm willing to look at this. And that is, excuse me, it's not separate. So that will start to come forward if it's necessary to even look at that. Trungpa Rinpoche once said, what you need to look at is available right now. You don't need to go back into ancient times and drag something forward. It's available right now. And I feel from studying with him that what he was saying is that kind of what I'm saying is that, or my perception of it is that if it needs to be there in consciousness as an item, then it will be there. If it doesn't need to be, it's okay. We only have eyes in the front of our head. We don't know what's happening back there. Yes.
Kayan bowing, could the slowness of that process be characterized as kindness?
You're such a storyteller. Maybe. I see where you're going with it. I would say somewhat, but I don't think it's necessary to look at that and then add on to it a bunch of flower petals. Yes.
Shoto bowing. I don't remember the exact translation, but in the Platform Sutra, Huineng says something like, I don't see the shortcomings of others, I just see my shortcomings.
Yes.
How are the shortcomings we're seeing in other people's ours?
They're yours. It's a projection. I don't care what Weidong said. They're yours. More.
Shoto bowing. Will it always look like it's somebody else's?
Eventually, you'll see there isn't any other. There isn't no other person. And if you do see an other, it's an illusion. It's an illusion that there are other people. Quite an enjoyable one and quite a frightening one. I noticed that you're really, really separated. I was looking for Kenzan. I think, where's Kenzan at? Now I see. And make it all make sense. You're having a fight. No. Further questions? Yes,
David Bowing,
David, go ahead.
thank you. When we separate something and put it out there, what are we separating it from? Bowing.
I could respond to that, but I'd rather have you say a little bit more about what you want to know. And I heard what you said.
David Bowing.
Yes.
I was wondering, when you say, when we separate something from ourselves, I'm wondering um, what is the source of that separation? What is that separation from? I'm not sure how to ask that.
Okay, well, maybe I could say it this way, we separate ourselves in order to protect. We're protecting something, we're protecting our self-centeredness, we're protecting our ego from being harmed or being judged or being challenged. Is that the area you were going into, do you think? Was this
Maybe
something?
bowing. So when we don't separate, what is it that remains?
Consciousness?
The whole thing.
You just see consciousness is what consciousness is what this is. It's just consciousness. If you see what this is, it'll break your heart. But until you do that, we'll continue to cover that perception up with, I like it, I don't like it, it shouldn't be, they shouldn't, I shouldn't. Constant stories. The dustbin of otherness. We just keep throwing things up on the mirror so we can't see what this is. Cover up that mirror. Don't really want to know what this is.
Maybe
But-
bowing. Is
Yes.
consciousness the same as the mind? Bowing.
It's just another word, but yes, you could say that. It's the mind or mind only, consciousness only would be my way of saying it. It's a word, so sometimes you can change the meaning behind the particular word that is being used.
Thank you.
You?
Junshi bowing. If we have an impulse to act out of a thought or a feeling, are we treating that thought or feeling as if it is other? Bowing.
We're probably treating it as if it is real, and we're buying into that. We believe that we're going to act out of that, and we act. It's possible to just watch things come and go in the mind stream and not necessarily hook up your musculature or your vocal cords or anything and just observe. That's possible.
Junshi bowing. If we were to see that our thoughts and feelings are not separate, would there be less of an impulse to do something with them or about them?
The impulses may still show up, but doing something about it may be less. You wouldn't necessarily react or do something about anything. Just hang out.
Human bowing.
Yes,
What is the heartbreak that you're speaking of?
the suffering. Suffering that people who feel they're correct and they feel that they're right, and they feel that they've been wronged. And they feel, and they're willing to elbow everybody in order to get their way. Heartbreaking. See that people, in order to get rid of their own negativity, will torture others. Will actually harm other people. And will flail around in order to get what they want, which is some kind of maybe revenge or something like that. It's just heartbreaking to see that and see that you can't, and it's all over the world. See that you can't really do anything about it. The only thing that you can do is to not do it yourself. And sometimes if you're in the position of being a teacher, you see people that are willing to validate their own emotions and their own aggression. You might have to respond to them in such a way that might not feel too good. Well,
Are there any actions that don't seek validation?
I think so. Most actions are looking for some kind of result, and along the lines of what it looks like you're asking about. Or validation, or people approving of what they're doing. Yes.
You're talking about if other is illusory. And as bodhisattvas, we vow to save all beings, and
Yeah.
others before ourselves. What, are we just saving an illusion? What is that?
I don't know if I would say you're saving an illusion. You're putting others before yourself in the sense that those others are suffering because they believe in that otherness. They believe in that illusion, and they're flailing around trying to get away from the suffering. Is that complete, or is there more?
You're not buying, so we vow to stay here or to return until there are no more beings to save. Or
Yes.
if these are we somehow perpetuating the illusion? There, it's not a complete question, but I'm lost. Well,
How do you mean perpetuating it? Say a little bit more.
vowing, continuing to project otherness onto people that may or may not need our saving or our help.
So could be. That's just part of the dustbin. Confusing. It should be controlled. Should we stop that? She's doing that to him. Should we interfere, or should we watch what's happening? We're constantly confronted with all kinds of shouldn't situations. Less is going to be better in that situation. It's not that there won't be some time when you perhaps should have acted more, and other times when you maybe didn't need to act at all.
Sort of related question would be in the sadhana, it says, I've been fool enough to think that I own my own projections, something like
Yes.
that. If we don't own our own projections, is that just dependent origination?
I'm sure that was helpful, wasn't it? It's a good line. That's one that would be good to contemplate that line. That's a powerful line. I have been fool enough to think that I possessed my own projections. Fool. You know what that means? To think that I possess my own projections. I want to look really closely at what projections are. Sharon,
Sharon bowing. There's a lot of anticipation that's occurring in our country right now with the changing of administration and so the world. I'm wondering if you could speak to what that means and where it falls, anticipation, bowing.
so a lot of people are confused. And the ego mind that functions in each person has been magnetized by the fool. And that's what seems to be taking over. So I don't know what we can do about that particularly, because it's too big of an avalanche. But this has been going on for centuries. It's just amazing that we're even here at all. You know, there have been so many just crazy people trying to run things. Happened with Mussolini, happened with Stalin, happened with Hitler, happened in the Peloponnesian Wars. It's just their constant otherness trying to run things and take over. And all I'm saying is all you can do really. I'm not saying you couldn't do something politically if you ran for office and did something in that area. That's very possible. But I'm biased. I'm very biased in this area. The very best thing you can do is spend time. You have a living room, you have a bedroom, probably have a meditation room. Spend some time sitting still, watching your mind stream come and go, and watching the way your own oligarchy is trying to get control of that. You know. Try to see that one, because the big one of the whole country, the whole of the world is very hard to see that and be responsible, have some responsibility for that big one, where that person is has so much for lack of a better word, charisma, in the negative sense of it touches everybody's, the ego part of each person's mental structure. It triggers that area, and people identify with that because they know that their own ego mind, self-centered mind, greedy mind, can't get any power by itself. They don't have the guts to be self-centered. But here's somebody who has the guts to be completely self-centered and myopic and a dictator. And so all the people who have felt insulted want to be on board with that, so they vote. That's the way it looks here. But we don't have to do that. You're going to actually train your mind to see clearly. Is that helpful? Or more?
Sharon bowing, that's very helpful. I'm intrigued by the word magnetism. I guess the second question would be, I think as always, whether we're anticipating or sort of sensing heartbreak, that type of thing. This is return to the cushion and train the mind. Bowing.
So it's not that you situationally couldn't do some other things too, but I think that will come up as we go along. That's an overwhelming situation that person has taken on, and it's As long as he's fighting to get it, it works one way, but as soon as he gets it, he was voted in. Now he has to do that. Has to do all the things he said, and it's gonna be quite painful for him, because the people that are helping him are just as full of themselves as he is. Maybe more so in a couple of cases, especially with the billionaires. He might not have all the control he thought he had. Yes, sir.
Yoka bowing. Question from YouTube from Stephen bowing. Hard to form to words, we'll try. Relatively, may the illusion continue as it seems it was, all the suffering, question mark?
You read that again?
Yoka bowing. Relatively, may the illusion continue as it seems it was, all the suffering.
Is that a question?
Yoka bowing. I'm not sure what it's referring to.
Yes, well, I'll treat it as it appears over here as yes, it'll continue. It's an illusion. Is a question?
Bowing. What perpetuates that illusion?
Pardon me?
But what perpetuates the illusion? Bowing.
Just causes and conditions. This happens and that happens and this happens and that happens. The illusion is powerful. Space, illusion, time, past and future, present, illusion. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look
Is
like.
there any
Yeah.
is there any end to that process? Bowing.
Is there anything to it?
Any end
No,
to it?
there may be an illusion of an end. Good luck. No, it's an illusion. But you don't have to conclude there's an illusion. You have to see it. If you see it's an illusion, it's just like when we're in the middle of a dream, and we just believe that that dream is coming and going, and that there really is a someone sitting at a table across from you who is a figure that is unreal. It's an illusion. That person is there at the table. And you have in the middle of the table, you have a pile of gingerbread. And then you awaken from the dream. There's no gingerbread. There's no person sitting across the table. And you're not sitting, that's all completely gone. This is unreal. But that unreality is an indication that this is an unreality also. You have to see it yourself. You have to see it, smell it, realize it. Yes, sir.
And bowing, what is cessation if something doesn't stop?
Was that the third noble truth is cessation, lifeless suffering. The cause is desire. The goal is cessation. Is that it? How do you get there? Look at it. See. See, yes, the illusion ceases. Or what actually ceases is belief in it, the believe that that's actually happening. Or it may go on, it may not, you won't care, whether you won't care what it does. Because you know that it's unreal. Oh,
So going back to what Yudao was asking about the Bodhisattva vow, is the vow to save all beings a preliminary instruction until the illusion of otherness?
it certainly is, thank you.
Um,
Yes. People are suffering, and are they suffering? Yes. Because they believe in, I can get it, or I can't get it, or this is bothering me, or this has to stop. This is not painful. People believe that. And there are no beings. That's an illusion. There are no separate beings anyway. More.
Bowing. So
Yeah.
is it is it the belief which perpetuates the illusion? The belief that it's real? Bowing.
Is it the what?
Belief
Yes.
in the illusion?
Yes, it's the belief in it. Don't believe, don't disbelieve, and don't ignore. Don't believe it. Passion. Don't disbelieve it. Aggression. And don't ignore it. Ignorance. Whatever shows up, you have nerve endings. You have senses. You have the sixth sense fields and their objects. Just receive. See what this is. See what it is yourself.
Natsumi bowing. Is it possible to have intention without awareness?
I don't, it doesn't seem like it. Seems like you have to be aware of that. Perhaps, but it doesn't seem like.
If something arises and in retrospect it appears as if it were summoned by the illusion of the past self, what is that?
Again, is it what? Again?
If something arises
Yeah, something arises.
and as you look at it, it appears that it was something that you asked for without realizing that you were asking for it before.
I feel like you asked for a bologna sandwich, but you didn't really know you would ask for it. And suddenly it appears, and then you realize that you have a bologna sandwich that you didn't ever ask for.
Maybe it's more like a lesson.
Okay, that's where you're going. Okay, you're sitting there at home, and then suddenly you get some kind of a teaching
Yes.
you didn't ask for. Okay, well, I'm not trying to mock you particularly, but I'm just trying to get close to what it is you want to know. Could you say it more succinctly than that? That's a fancy word, succinct. I have no idea what it means, but I like to use it a lot.
I think what's happening is I'm trying to make an explanation for something that I don't understand.
Oh, well, I'll help you.
Yeah, it's not really coming clearly as a question. I think at one point, I believe you said something about how an intention works if you have an awareness practice. And if you're aware of the intention. And so I was wondering if it's possible to not be aware and set intentions.
I don't know, let's ask somebody else. What do you think? Okay. Nisha guy didn't know. Paushan, what do you think?
I'm still stuck on giving you a definition of the word succinct right now.
All right. Yes,
I am bowing.
Diane.
If we experience difficulty either in our lives or from the
Yes.
teacher, and we just say, oh, it's a teaching, is that a cover-up?
It could be, yes. To not be clear about it and just go to that rather than actually look closely into what is actually happening. I think so.
I am bowing. How can we go into the content of a difficult situation? Try to get some understanding without clamping down on a conclusion, bowing.
I think it's going to vary with each situation. I don't think there's a standard protocol for how to do that in time. I think this is just a matter of going through, maybe looking at the concepts that are there. And just kind of breaking through it, so to speak, and see if you can get some understanding conceptually of what it is. And then go into the concepts and what they seem to be pointing at. And go slow. And the longer you can go without concluding anything, the more you can, probably more confused you'll be, which is not bad. Being confused. Any more Natsumi before I go to Wulong?
No, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Think about that for a while and try to include the one word that Paushan's working with. Okay, Wulong.
Wulong bowing. And I was thinking of words that rhymed with succinct. You have in the past and ongoingly as a suggestion in working with dreams said, before you go to sleep, I remember my dreams and I write them down. Earlier, there was a reference that consciousness protects you. Is when one doesn't remember their dreams, or they do remember their dreams, could that be a form of consciousness protecting?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Thank you for that. The dreaming is a way of kind of a clearing out process of going through negativity that's arising in the consciousness. So yes, it's not that you couldn't go in and endeavor to write down your dreams, or there are processes whereby, for instance, if you just suggest to yourself, I will dream tonight and tomorrow I will be able to remember what my dream was. Then that's a more gentle approach to it. It's more of a suggestion about it. So then you could, a possibility, but that's a much softer approach than EMDR approach, which is going in and excavating, going in, and it was quite aggressive, as I understand it. I've not been through it, but I know some people who have. It's not been particularly comfortable.
Long bowing. When you do that practice and you go days without remembering a dream, and or you have a nightmare or something that you wake up rattled from, how do I work with that and respond to it without adding to not the frustration of not remembering the dream and or being rattled?
In both situations, very important, in both situations, just be aware of that. There's nothing to correct there. Being rattled is fine, just be aware of being rattled. So we're still living we're not living in a completely pure realm. This is a very, very distressed, complicated realm of consciousness, human beings, which is it's very, very difficult to live here, to be a human being. But whatever shows up out of just the spontaneity of the present moment, as we sometimes call this, which may be the present moment in the dream, the present moment in your morning coffee, or interacting with your partner, whatever, insofar as you can, just receive that. Rather than leaving what you're receiving for what you think about it, what you can conclude about it, how you can manipulate it, or any of those things, just receive it. It's just like weather, only it's highly personalized, but it's like weather, just how this looks, how this feels, how this tastes. And it's, if I could be so bold as to make another suggestion, you could ignore it, you could enjoy it. Enjoy your life. Don't miss your life. If it's coming your way, you have it coming.
Long bowing, highly personalized weather. What a gorgeous oxymoron.
Oh,
Thank you.
highly personalized. That was a really, really personalized hailstone right in my head. Is there another question in here? Sure.
John Jen, how do you enjoy suffering?
You enjoy that you can receive it. You notice that you're not feeling so good. Things are not going your way, but you have a deep understanding of the nature of reality. And you realize this is supposed to be happening. For lack of a better word, there might be a better word than supposed to be, but you just receive it and you appreciate that you have a human life, free and well favored. You can actually be in such a thing that you did not choose as a human being. You're here. Life is suffering, as the Buddha said. You appreciate that. It might not be the kind of appreciation as a peanut butter sandwich would be. Do you like peanut butter sandwiches? Sure. Yeah. So do I. Completely different type of enjoyment. You just receive that and the difficulty of the pain, the pain of not having things go your way. You want this to happen, you want this, and it just doesn't, it's not working, it's going the other way. But you have a sense of appreciation there. Not easy to elaborate on conceptually. But it's like that. You could actually go in and with a broader understanding of what this is, you could actually appreciate your life. No. It won't be the kind of appreciation or enjoyment that a 14-year-old gets, but it's a human being that is mature and understands what it means to be a living being. Deep understanding.
Bowing.
You know.
I have a question about intention.
Go ahead.
Yes, if the intention is personalized or highly personalized, I often go either could be extreme or too loose. My question is there a balance to return to the intention? I can say more if you're
I would like more.
sure. 玉红八音, when I return, when you say just simply return, if I break down the process, if I remember, I often return with very extreme aspiration, which shown up could be very taking things personally. Just this is a return, very, I don't know, very tightness, shown up very tightness, and also the grasping of just return. Sometimes to lose could shown up not wanting to practice. So I'm wondering, when you say return, is there any ways and how to return? Bowing.
So when you return, be very aware that you may have presumptions about how that's going to look. And that you're have an expectation about how it looks, and maybe have some disappointment around that. That it's not looking like you thought it was going to, if you did do that, if you returned. So, and just the way I say it is just return anyway, just come back to it anyway. Whatever you come back to is just, it has its own credential, has its own validation. It's just whatever it is, that's it.
Thank you. I think I'm still have difficulty of, seems like a person needs to return or wants to return. But what you said is very helpful. Bowing. Thank you.
Other question in here? In the Zendo? Sir,
Question from YouTube,
yes.
Martine Bowing. Is others a different form of ego? Bowing.
The way the question is showing up, I'm not sure, you might have a different orientation in your question, but I would say no, it's just it's your projection. There are no others, and so if you're creating an other, I'm not saying there isn't a human across the room or wherever, that seems very, very convincing. Is there a final question before we close? No burning questions in this room?
Ivan Bowing.
Burning question?
No, it's Ivan, not Bernie.
Okay. Good.
Bowing.
I sometimes get your name wrong. Thank you for correcting.
So did my mother.
So did your mother?
She always called me Car Ivan
Ivan?
instead of and she called my brother Carl.
Carl. Remember that? Hi, Carl. Okay, go ahead.
Ivan Bowing. Yesterday you presented the concept or the lesson of the I mind.
Yes.
I'm not sure the exact term, but is there any application to that in a setting other than looking at artwork? Like, could I practice it right here?
Yeah.
And is there value in that?
There is. So yesterday at the Graham of the Grand Rapids Art Museum, I did some guided awareness practice around paintings with a practice that I've come up with called opening the eye mind, using various, I think we did 3 different paintings of Ben Nicholson and I don't remember the other name to you. Carl Schmidt-Rottluff, the German expressionist painter of the previous century. And a woman, I can't recall her name.
Drea Couch, I believe.
Yeah, Andrea Couch, more contemporary person. So anyway, quite a fascinating practice, I thought, with those particular paintings. And the idea is to move the awareness around on the surface of the painting, on the picture plane, with colors, shapes, even content, and use that to bring about an awareness of how that particular painting was arranged or composed, very much like a symphony. And I would say that that's possible. Those same techniques could be used to use what you're looking at and to be aware just through the sitting practice of meditation that will start to arise spontaneously. You'll be looking at a person, talking to them, and you'll just spontaneously be aware of the toaster sitting on the counter or birds and sounds outside the window, going from visual objects out to awareness of other things happening in the environment. And through that encouragement to do that you can actually begin to include everything. And then the process of that seems to help us realize how much we've been missing our life, that our life is really quite full of just so much feelings, and how our body feels, and how our environment is showing up with all kinds of things through all the 6 sense fields, including the mind. And so, yes, very much so. You can just allow it to happen. You can also do that deliberately. Maybe I should write another book. Opening the life mind. You can help me with that, will you?
If you request it, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much for attending and for your questions.
May the merit of this penetrate into all places, so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. Ji-ho san shi shi-fu, shi-son bu-sa mo-ko-sa, mo-ko-ho-ja-ho-ro-mi. The 10 directions, the 3 times, all Buddhas, all venerable ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the great Prajna, Paramita.
O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and 3 times, please hear us. Please come down out of the light and protect Sokukoji Buddhist Temple Monastery, our Sangha, families, friends, and visitors. Heal everyone who is unhappy, sick, or suffering, and fill them with light.